Hi, I am Nick Shell, and I happen to be the author of this book, The Guy's Guide to Enneagram. This is me, Nick Shell, right here. If you want to buy my book, there's a link in Amazon where you can. But no pressure. This really isn't about you buying my book. Here's what it's really about. It's about me, an Enneagram 9 Wing 8, here to help you determine whether you might actually be an Enneagram 9 Wing 8. Because, man, we are complex. We are buried deep underneath all of those other 9 types in Enneagram. No, other 8. I'm bad at math, by the way. I have an English degree, hence the book, but math is not my thing. So Enneagram is about as much as I can handle as far as numbers, because there's only 9. Granted, we have the whole wing thing, so there you go. There's double right there with that. And I think it's very important as you are trying to determine which Enneagram you are, that you look at both sides of it. As far as, again, this video is about Enneagram 9. Do you swing more like the 1 or do you swing more like the 8 in general? So I think this is very important, because I think there are 9 wings out there and they just don't realize that they are, because it's so easy to misidentify as a different number. So for the record, it took me like 2 years to finally figure out I'm a 9 Wing 8. In fact, here's something really funny. I don't mention this in the book, but I wrote this entire book thinking I was a different number. And then a year into writing this book, before it got published, I was like, oh, wait, that's not actually me. And I had to gut this thing and redo a lot of it, knowing that I'm truly an Enneagram 9 Wing 8. Now, what I want to do, I'll start out by saying what an Enneagram 9 Wing 1 is, just to differentiate that that's not who I am personally. So a 9 Wing 1 is someone who, all 9s, we hate conflict, okay? Obviously we want inner peace. We want peace in here, we want peace in the world, you know. Focusing on relationships is very important. Being friendly is kind of our, is one of our tricks that basically compensates for the fact that we're withdrawn people. We're by default, we're introverted. But we learn to cope with that by having these people skills. I know how to be friendly. I'm not necessarily a nice guy, but I'm friendly. And that compensates for the fact that I'm actually withdrawn. I'm actually an introvert. As far as I'm hardwired that way. But I have really good social skills. I'm friendly. And you're really doing something wrong if you don't like me, kind of thing. That's just the honest truth. Okay, that's 9s in general. We're friendly, but we're very okay being by ourselves too. So a 9 Wing 1 is going to be more focused on things being clean and in order, playing by the rules. I work with a lot of 9 Wing 1s, and they are very focused on all of the rules. I gotta follow all of these rules, but they also are a little bit more spacey. I know that sounds weird that they're focused on the rules, but then like once they start talking, like, well, maybe, wait, what was I talking about? It was more of that kind of thing. It's that spaciness. The daydreamer is a nickname for 9 Wing 1. Now for me, a 9 Wing 8, we are known as often the referee or the comfort seeker, which I really think drives this home for me personally, as the comfort seeker. So for me personally, now that I understand myself, the whole premise of my life, my whole life, I'm 43 and a half, right, has always been, how can I feel comfortable? Translation, how can I be at peace? And if I am, so are other people. Because here's something I've learned in life. You can't actually really make other people happy. You know, and 9s are one of the numbers that are people pleasers, along with 2s and 3s. But I've learned you cannot make other people happy. Happiness is something an individual has to determine for themselves. So if a 9 can be happy by default, I think what that does is that has a ripple effect where other people can be happy as well. So it's important to start with you as a 9, if you are. How can you be happy? Well, one of the ways that we do this is through comfort and routine. I am one of the most routine people that anyone can ever meet. I eat exactly the same stuff every day. I exercise every single day, twice, before work and during work, during lunch. I have all of my certain routines, and they make me feel comfortable, they make me feel stable, and then from there I can give that gift. So I know it can sound selfish, well, I'm just seeking comfort. Well, but if I'm at comfort and ease, then that's one of my superpowers that I have for other people. So I think that's very important. But you think, but Nick, I don't understand, how what's 8 about you? Well, if you'd see me in real life, you would see that the way that I intervene with people, like for example, when I see somebody, like say someone's coming to my house or I'm seeing them somewhere, I usually don't say, "Hi Mark, how's it going?" No, I'd be like, I don't know, I'll give you an example. I was wearing a silly hat for Halloween recently. I saw one of my friends with his kids, and I was like, "Hey, where's your hat?" Like that was my opening statement to him. "Hey, where's your hat?" Like, I'm wearing a silly hat. Where's your hat? That was my opening statement. Like, "Hey Brent, hey, didn't know you'd be here." It's like, no. I tend to ask people a very direct question or make a very direct statement. I don't say hi, "Hey, give me a hug." None of that. It's very direct. And I am more likely to tell people exactly how I feel, even if I don't get what I want out of it. Of course, that's growth for 9 in general, is we need to be more vocal about what we actually want and what we actually think. But at the end of the day, if they don't take our advice, who cares? And that's kind of the 8. 8 has a lot of this. I know that when we think of 8, it's like, "Oh, I'm in charge, I'm in control, I need it." No, a lot of it is, okay, whatever, I tried. And that's a lot of it. We see this with Paul Rudd in most of his movies and shows that he's in. Kevin James is another 9-wing 8 that we see this a lot of. And it's this, I know what I want to do. Nobody else wants to do it? Okay, all right, then we'll do the other thing. But if it were up to me, I'd want to do this thing. And when a 9-wing 8 is by themselves, they do exactly what they actually want to do. So that's kind of, because an 8 doesn't want people controlling them. So you have this person who ultimately, "I just want to chill, man. That's all I want to do." But if you don't let me chill, then there's going to be a problem. Then there's going to be this grumpiness going on, ultimately. Like, I'll go along with the other thing, but I'm not going to be happy about it. And I think that's another interesting thing to point out about this with 9-wing 8. 9s are friendly, but a 9-wing 8 is going to show their grumpiness pretty quickly, whereas a 9-wing 1, "Well, it's okay, we can all just get along, yeah." That'd be more. 9-wing 8s go along with the flow. We still go with the flow, but it's more obvious that everything's not okay. Like, we have our certain method and routine that we really want to go with. And again, another way that you can really tell a 9-wing 8 is because they give it away through their routine, specifically as it relates to food and exercise. If you know somebody who has to go on an hour-long walk every morning like I do, and then during lunch I go for another hour-long walk, or I'm weight training at the gym, so I'm exercising all the time, and then I'm eating certain things all the time. Now, an unhealthy version of this would be Homer Simpson. He loves to not exercise, he loves to sleep all the time, drink beer, eat donuts. For me, I don't drink alcohol at all, and I definitely don't eat donuts, but like, it's the opposite, but still it's the same concept. It's just, I'm overcoming sloth is what it is. I don't want to be slothful as a 9. And as a 9-wing 8, I want to be in control of my own life and my own decisions as much as possible. But ultimately, what I really want is peace. So I am willing to go with the flow after I voice my opinions first. And I am triggered more easily to anger. I can get very angry very quick. I do have rage issues that I have dealt with my whole life, but I'm pretty good about channeling that energy so that I'm not hurting anybody or saying something I'm going to regret. I'm pretty good at, and I think as I've gotten older, it's less about repressing the anger and more about using that anger as energy to be productive, which again is the opposite of my card. The token sin of the 7 deadly sins of an Enneagram 9 is sloth. So how can I not be lazy? Instead, how can I be productive and get things done and use that energy to do that? But yeah, I think it's funny because I know a couple other 9-wing 8s and that are male specifically. I do know one 9-wing 8 that's a female, but I think ultimately if you want to be able to spot one in a crowd, I think just find the person who can be just pretty chill when they're not talking, like they don't really have an opinion, but like once it's time for them to say something, like it's just complete, just direct. You may even see the finger pointing, because by the way, Harrison Ford is a 9-wing 8. You'll see a little bit of this going on. But ultimately it's like they're going to tell you how exactly they feel and what they want, or they're just going to cut the formalities altogether. They're not going to say, hi, it's good to see you. They're just going to go straight into the middle of a conversation. Like, what? And that's kind of what we do. I think that's that shock of an 8 and a 9 that throws people off. But what's funny about that is, it's this, I'm going to make you feel comfortable by not asking you some stupid question like, how are you? Nobody cares. But if I can maybe start with some kind of observation about what you're wearing or what I'm wearing, or something non-generic, like we won't talk about the weather, but just something very specific about you or me. Like if I see somebody that I just saw like within the week, I'm like, hey, by the way, I'm everywhere. Deal with it. You're going to be seeing me every couple of days. Like that's one of my things that I say to people if I see them more than once in a week. So it sounds very assertive and very aggressive, but really it's my backward way of actually being friendly and making that person feel comfortable. So if you can relate to any of this, I would love to hear from you in the comment section. Please tell me more about it. If I just sound like a crazy person, then you're probably not a 9-wing 8 if you can't relate to what I'm saying. Also remember, I am putting a link in the description where you can buy my book that I've written about Enneagram. You're welcome to check that out, and I'll make like $2 off you if you buy my book. But that's not really what this is about. I only wrote the book to use as a vehicle to know more about Enneagram, to help people understand themselves better. If this video does well, then I'll make more Enneagram videos. Your comments belong right here.